rushed to his side and clutched to his feet. He was 6 feet 1 inches, big and strong. I felt secure whenever he was around. He bent over and ruffled my hair, so I smiled at him as he waved goodbye. I felt a dash of sadness rush through me. I started to feel lonely, so I went to one side and began to read. It was June 19, 1901, and the sun smiled brightly at the towering trees as they swayed lazily in the breeze. I laid in the corner on a mat with Susie as she read me her story. She was a happy brown-haired, hazel-eyed, light brown girl with slight pinkish lips. Her sister Moita was dark brown in complexion, blue eye like her father, curly long black hair, and was about 4 feet 2 inches tall. Moita loved to sing, as her voice was as melodious as the sound of an angel. Her sister was a little jealous and often made fun of her, but Moita simply smiled whenever her sister started acting out. It was time for our evening bath, which all of us took. Me, being the smallest, was always given a bath by the house help, Matilda. That evening was a little chilly, so we all curled up on the sofa, drinking hot chocolate as we watched our favorite program, Tommy and the Cat's Name Whiskers. Mommy Cindy and Daddy Ben went off to bed rather early, leaving us with the house help, Matilda. Susie first went off to sleep, leaving Moita and I. Matilda took Susie to bed, closed off the television, and told us to head to bed. That night, I laid beside Moita as I yawned lazily, staring at the stars that peeped through the window at me. The scent of Mommy Cindy's pecan pie woke me from my sleep. I lazily stretched while I hustled off the bed. I ran down the stairs with a look of hunger in my eyes. Mommy Cindy laughed at the expression on my face, while I impatiently waited for her to share me my slice. Suddenly, we heard a loud banging on the door. "Open up!" The voice shouted from behind the door. I was so scared. I hid at the side of the fridge. Daddy Ben approached the door, and before he could open it, the door was kicked in, sending it and Daddy Ben flying across the floor. Mommy Cindy ran towards Daddy Ben, but she was held by the men who seemed like pirates. Matilda shouted, "Madam," as she hobbled towards her, but one of the pirates grabbed her by the throat and slaughtered her mercilessly. The entire neighborhood was in turmoil. You could hear screams echoing everywhere. I shut my eyes tightly. I dare not move. Moita and Susie were upstairs, hiding, I guess, but because of my greediness, I almost met my death. Mommy Cindy and Daddy Ben were dragged outside with their hands tied to their feet. The pirates threw them into the back of a vehicle. The men talked among themselves. 8 minutes later, they took the blinds off them, untied Daddy Ben, and told him to run and not look back. Daddy Ben ran with all the speed and strength he had in his feet when the pirates laughed and they both shot him in his back several times before he fell face down. I was terrified, wondering if they would come back and find me. Mommy Cindy was crying, panting and raging at the sight of her husband's lifeless body. I could feel the tears stinging my eyes as I witnessed those hoodlums raping and torturing Mommy Cindy. She cried in pain as they tied her to their trucks, and pulling in the opposite direction, they ripped her in two. That was when Moita ran through the front door shouting, "Mommy Cindy! Mommy Cindy!" but Mama Cindy was no more. They grabbed Moita and screamed at her, but she kept quiet with tears flowing down her cheeks. "What are we to do with her?" shouted one of the pirates. "Kill her, shall we?" shouted another. However, there were some females among the group of pirates who begged to let her live. "She can stay with me," shouted a dark-haired, butter-looking skin lady. "We don't want no trouble," a man said. Then, looking at the lady's face, another pirate pushed Moita into her hand, saying, "You better know what you're doing." By this time, I was in the bedroom searching for Susie, when I found her weeping uncontrollably in a secret compartment in the closet. Suddenly, we could hear footsteps and voices saying, "Search this place once more." The footsteps grew louder and closer. At this time, I could not tell the difference between the footsteps and my heart, because my heart was thumping so loudly it drowned out any other sound from outside. The door handle turned slowly, and I drew closer to Susie, burying my head in her stomach and closing my eyes tightly, anticipating how I was gonna die. When we heard a loud explosion downstairs and a shout saying, "Abort mission! Abort mission!" Although not knowing what was going on, I felt a wave of relief crashing all over my body. All I could hear were engines revving up and vehicles driving off. Susie and I waited for 30 minutes before opening the closet door and exiting down the staircase. The place was quiet as we looked around. Dead bodies were everywhere. A massacre had taken place, leaving only Susie and I. We were scared, lonely, and hungry. The only person we knew could rescue us was Uncle Sam, but he was long gone, and we didn't know if he would ever return. I beckoned for Susie to come, and we started walking. As we passed the lifeless bodies on the ground, we heard a cry. Looking around, we spotted a baby on the ground in front of a house. I beckoned to Susie to come, but she said, "We can't leave the baby. What if they come back?" So Susie grabbed the little thing, and once again, we started walking. As we walked towards the open road in order to get to a gully that runs underground that leads to a subway, I dressed back, looking at Susie and the baby, wondering how I was going to care for and protect them when I was only their pet dog named Sally.